guys, Lori here. I'm here to do my it's not January, it's July. Here to do my July reading wrap up a little bit early, but I am going to do the booktubeathon. So what I thought I would do is I would just cut July off a little bit, and then I will do a booktubeathon wrap up, and then I will do my my August TBR after that, just because, like, I don't know what I'm going to read this week, but I don't want to make two August TBRs by the end of the month. So that's my plan. But I actually had a really good reading month. And at the start of the month, I was like, oh, I'm not going to read anywhere near as much as I read last month, just because everything I was reading was being so massive. And that is true. I did read a lot of really, really long books. But I did have a really good reading month. I did start my book club this month, so I read 2 books over the course of a month. I'm not sure if I love that. I'm not sure if I'm going to maybe just bang a book out earlier in the month and then just talk about it with the group. Still working out those issues with me as a person, but overall I had a really good reading month, so let's dive into it. The first book that I finished reading in the month of July was it's not that. It's Wild Card by Mary Lou. I did get a BEA, and I do have a whole reading vlog where I read Wild Card and I documented my experience. But I really love this book. I gave it 5 stars. I loved this book more than I loved Warcross. I thought that it really expanded the world, and I just loved the mystery. I thought that the world was spectacular. I really loved the characters, and it was just such a fast-paced mystery that I was immediately captured. And I really, really enjoyed it. I cannot wait for the world to read it, and I'm really excited to hear everyone else's thoughts. But it was a super fast-paced read. Definitely one of my favorite reads of the month. And if you want more of my thoughts on Wildcard, go check out my reading vlog where I give my non-spoiler thoughts in that video. But I just wanted to give you guys my short thoughts here. I wound up finishing was The President is Missing by James Patterson and Bill Clinton. This was definitely a book that I picked up purely because of the hype, because I've heard some really interesting things about it, and I wound up really enjoying it. I thought that it was a really realistic portrayal of what happens if the president, what is a circumstance that would have happened. I thought that it was a really timely read. I thought it was a really realistically crafted story, which I think Bill Clinton really helped with, and James Patterson just crafts really interesting thrillers. I thought that I had just recently got into politics after the 20s, really listening and paying attention to stuff since the 2016 elections for obvious reasons. But I thought sometimes the things went a little bit over my head, but that must be just because I was I have no idea what's going on. But I thought that the writing could be very detailed at points, and I felt that it didn't always need that. But I really did like the characters, and I love the various perspectives that we got. I thought that it was a really tightly wound mystery, and I really wound up liking it. And I wound up giving it 3.5 stars. The book that I wound up completing reading was Royals by Rachel Hawkins. This before. I normally read a lot of contemporaries in the summer, and I was just craving something lighter, so I wound up picking this up from the library and reading it really, really quickly. Basically follows this girl named Daisy, and her sister winds up being engaged to marry to the Prince of Scotland, and a scandal that she inadvertently causes winds her spending her summer in Scotland, and it's just a fun adventure. It was just so fun. I really liked it. I sped through it in 2 days. I always felt that there was kind of a wall between me and the lead and her soon-to-be love interest that I wish I would have felt more connected to the characters, which is why I only gave this book 3.5 stars. I just wanted to feel a little bit more connected to these characters. I know that we're getting another book set in this world, and it's going to follow a different set of characters, but I really thought that the book had a lot of diversity. And I really liked the plot and that was predictable at points, but I found it to be a fun read. It just was really, really fun, and I was happy that I read it. Participating in the Summer Love Challenge on TBR and Beyond. So the first dice I rolled was pick a book with a really luscious cover, and I wound up picking Sea Witch by Sarah Hennen. This is a Ursula retelling, and I really, really like this book. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I adored it. I actually talk about it in one of my reading vlogs. I think it's called I Read Sea Witch. But I just flew through this book. I thought the world building was spectacular. I loved all the nods to the fairy tale, and I think that you got like really two solid stories. You got like a Ursula retelling, but also you had hints of a Little Mermaid retelling. I would love a really like solidified Little Mermaid retelling from this author because the world was so well done. I really, really liked it. I thought that it was great. I thought the characters were great. I thought the world was great. And I really flew through it. There definitely, I think Reagan says it best. I just watched her do a reading vlog on this, and there's definitely a point of no return in this book where like you get to a point like, oh my god, I really need to know what happens. And I was kind of right and kind of wrong with my predictions on this book, but it's definitely one of those books you really need to go into blind. But I actually really loved it, and I actually am meeting Sarah Hennon this week to get my hardback signed. But yeah, it was just a really, really fun read. If you're looking for kind of a fun retelling, this is definitely should be on your TBR list. That I'm actually well, I'm not meeting her. I've met her like a bunch of times, but I am seeing Alexandra Bracken tomorrow, and that is for The Darkest Legacy. I am so I really, really love this book. The Darkest Mind series was probably one of my favorite ever dystopian series I've ever really read, and I just adored it, and I was so hesitant about this book. But oh my god, I adored it. I have a reading vlog where I said I read Dark Legacy and it was epic, and it just was. I just love this book so much. This video is going to be really long because I read a lot more than I thought I was going to. So if you want to hear my thoughts about that, go check out my blog post or go check out my reading vlog where I really like documented my experience. I really love this. I really hope we get more following Zoo as a lead because I loved being inside her head, and I will try to get some clips for you guys when I see Alex Bracken tomorrow. But definitely a 5-star read. If you were a fan of The Darkest Minds and you were a little bit hesitant to go back to this world, don't be hesitant. Just go out and buy the book because it was amazing. The first audiobook that I finished reading this month was Dark Prophecy by Rick Riordan. This book is a reread for me, and actually I re-listened to it because I've heard amazing things about The Burning Maze that I really desperately want to read, but I had to reacquaint myself with what happened in this book. Really glad that I did. Still give it 5 stars. It was good. I just love his writing. I love how he incorporates mythology into his stories, and I just love these characters. I love being back in the Greek world, and I love all the cameos that we're getting. I really am excited to see what this newest cameo brings, and apparently this book is a game changer, so hopefully I can read it soon. It's definitely on my TBR, maybe after BookTube though. After I finished reading Darkest Legacy, I needed to read like a lighter, funner book, or just funner and just lighter and quicker, so I wound up picking up Sanity in Tallulah from Disney Hyperion. This book does not come out until October. It is a graphic novel, and it is by Molly Cook. I do talk about this book in the Alexandra Bracken Darkest Legacy reading vlog, but I really love this book. It was adorable. I love the art style. It basically follows these two girls, Sanity and Tallulah, and Sanity is a little budding scientist, and she winds up engineering a 3-headed cat. And she gets into a little bit of trouble, but when the cat goes missing, it is up to her and her best friend to track down this 3-headed cat. And it was just so fun. I thought it did a really, really great message about women in science, and I just really, really found it adorable. It was such a fun adventure. I've read it in like a day. I just was so impressed by it. It was just really, really charming. I loved how there was a bunch of different storylines going on. There was the kid storyline, there was the dad and her brother storyline, and then there was the adults, and they all kind of came together in one way. Would love more adventures set in this world and following these characters on some other different science-y adventures, but it was just super fun. And I did need to read a science fiction book for the TBR and Beyond Challenge, and that's the book that I wound up choosing. So it was fun, and I really liked it. Next book, also going along with the TBR and Beyond Challenge, was I had to choose a fantasy book, and I wound up choosing Rule by Ellen Godet. This book does not come out until September, but it is the perfect mix between Three Dark Crowns and Pretty Little Liars. I adored this book. I loved it so much. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I really recommend that when it comes out in September, you guys all go out to read it. But it basically follows these 3 girls, and I love the perspectives. I think my favorite perspectives was Akila, just because she was kind of the most interesting to me. But there was a lot of diversity, a lot of ethnic diversity in the book too, because the girls are so different. But basically, these 3 girls that you get the other point of views are basically the illegitimate daughters of the king. And when the king finds out he's dying, he has to find someone to take his throne because he's dying, obviously. But they all come to the court with pretty dark secrets that could basically get them arrested for treason. And someone is trying to use these secrets to force them out of the court. And it was just really, really well done. I really liked it. I thought the magic system in this book was spectacular. It was like a blood magic. And I was like, oh my God, I am so here for this. Really, really liked it. I flew through it. And I really need book 2 like yesterday. But I just really, really liked this book a lot. I thought the ending was a little bit predictable and was like a little bit rushed. But I'm definitely going to be checking out book 2. So this should definitely be on your radar for September when it comes out. And this book is from Novel. I'll be super honest. I was not planning on reading Grace and Fury this month because it's going to be in a book box I'm getting next month. But I got accepted for a blog tour and I didn't want to turn it down. So I wound up reading Grace and Fury by Tracy Bagenhart. This comes out, I think it comes out next week. Or this week. Yeah, no, I think it comes out this week. But I actually really liked it. This is the perfect mix between selection, Hunger Games, and Read Our Crowns, and Red Queen. But there's really no magic in this book. But the Red Queen will make a lot of sense after you read it. But I really liked it. It basically follows these two girls named Serena and Nomi. And in this world, women are subservient to men, and women have very, very like limited job opportunities or place in society. But you could become a Grace, and a Grace basically is the king's property, we'll say. And Serena has been training for this her entire life, and her sister Nomi is rebellious and out of control and really has no desire to be a Grace. But when they go to the palace, Nomi winds up being chosen to be a Grace, and Sierra does not. But when a secret is revealed about Nomi, Sierra takes the fall and is thrust into a very life-threatening experience. And it's just, I love the characters in this book. I thought that they were the highlights. I think I definitely liked Serena's story a little bit better than Nomi's story, but I thought they were equally compelling. The ending bothered me because I thought it was so predictable, I'll be a little bit honest, but I'm curious to see where book 2 goes and what, definitely these girls did not get along, but now that they've been through this stuff, I wonder what their relationship will be like in the future. I liked it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I just wish the ending was something a little bit different, but I definitely like the characters kept me engaged, which is really, really good. And I did enjoy it. It was not my favorite, but I liked it, and I will definitely be reading book 2. Normally when I read, I diversify the genres that I read a lot, but I just was on a royalty kick, and one of my roles I made for the TBR and Beyond Challenge was another royalty book. So I wound up picking up Madly by Amy Alward, and this has actually had a cover change and a name change. It's now called The Potion Diaries, and The Royal Tour is actually, oh, my head's back. Right there. That's fine. But this one was actually just a really, really fun fantasy adventure story. It basically follows this girl named Sam, and she is in a line of old school alchemists who, scourge for ingredients, and her family has kind of fallen on hard times because people that make like ingredients like fat, like design them, basically have taken over all of their jobs. So they're not in the best state financially. But when the princess decides to make a love tonic that she winds up falling in love with herself. Sounds really, really silly, but it's really, really not, because that has really unexpected consequences. Sam gets roped into this adventure to try to find an antidote for this potion. And it just was a fun adventure. I really liked it. I gave it like 4 stars. I really want to read book 2, and I just flew through it. It was just such a fun read. I love the girl power. I love a girl saving another girl's life. She had her friend that was like a scavenger, and I just love the world. The world building in this was so well done. It kind of reminded me of the Sweetest Kind of Fate series by Crystal Cesaria, just because the world was so well done, and it was just a lighter fantasy. I was reading Rule, I was reading Grace and Fury, and this was just a fun book, and I really, really am excited to read Royal Tour. and the next book in the series. They're just definitely lighter, but I just really liked it. Gave it 4 stars. I have not heard much love about this book, but I actually really liked it. But the real name of the book is called The Potion Diaries. So if you want to get it, go look up that edition. But yeah, I really liked it. I got this one from Book Outlet, which is why I have this cover. But overall, really liked it. Gave it 4 stars, and really hope to continue with the series soon. The next book that I wound up reading was Starry Eyes by Jenn Bennett. I did read Alex approximately last year and enjoyed it, so I decided to get this one from the library. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, basically, which I'm using this for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. So, yeah. But it's basically a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and it follows these two characters, Lennon and Zori, and they were best friends for a while, but then something happens that kind of sends them away in different directions. But when they wound up going on a camping trip together and they wound up kind of getting stranded together, it kind of takes their relationship in a whole new direction. It was okay. I liked it. I thought I really was more invested in, the traveling elements. I read Not If I Save You First by Ally Carter at the beginning of this year, and I love that book so much. I thought that survival elements were really, really interesting. This book, I wish there was a little bit more survival stuff. And I really did like Zori, and I liked her relationship with Lennon. I just wish, as I always say, that I wish that we had like point of view chapters from Lennon, because I think I would have been even more engaged in the story. But I did like it. I gave it 3.5 stars. It does have a lot of sexual content in this, not a bad thing. I think it's actually a very, very sex positive book, and it just talks about protection and stuff like that. But it does. There is a lot of sex in this, I will say that. But I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I will definitely be reading more by Jenn Bennett in the future. It was a fun read. It was a quick read. I thought the friendship dynamics were really, really interesting, and I also like characters when they're kind of jutted out of their, like, typical things. Zori's a planner, but this whole book she could not plan. They also had a lot of interesting family dynamics, and I really think they hit up the Romeo and Juliet retelling angle, which added an unexpected level to the Romeo and Juliet storyline. But it was overall really, really fun. I liked it. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I was kind of craving some more contemporary, so that's why I picked up this one. And it was also a library book. So, but yeah, 3.5 stars. The first book, well, one of the first books that my book club read was The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. I did pick up the audiobook, and I read this a while ago. I read this like 2 years ago. But this is probably one of my favorite Morgan Matson books. I love this one, and I also really love Since You've Been Gone, which I'm actually re-listening to now just because I'm on the kick. But I just love this book so much. It basically follows this girl named Andy, and her life is all planned out. Do you see how I like characters that have their lives all planned out? Because I very much am like that. If you're in my head right now and I don't know that I have a job in September, it is really, really stressful. So I'm a very, very big planner like this character and like Zori. And her father is a politician, but when her father goes through an unexpected scandal, her summer is kind of turned off course because she has no idea what she's going to do because she's home when she didn't really plan that. But when she winds up being an unexpected dog walker, an unexpected boy comes into her life, and it kind of changes them. I thought this book had such fascinating character dynamics, friendship dynamics. I love the friendship group in this story a lot. I loved Annie and Clark's relationship, and I just really, really liked it. I thought that these characters changed so much over the course of this book, and I just love them so much. And you get to see them in Save the Date as like a nice cameo, but I forgot how much I love this book. Their breakup, like the situations that happen to them really kind of break my heart a little bit, but it was just a really, really fun read. If you're looking for kind of a bigger contemporary, I recommend that you read it. It was just super fun, and Clark is just a cinnamon roll. He kind of reminds me of Cricket from Lola and the Boy Next Door, and you know how much I like Cricket. But he's just a gem, and I just really, really like this book. And I was happy to see the cameo and Save the Date, and I got thinking about them, so I had to reread it. Same thing happened when I saw Emily and Frank in this book. I was like, oh no, I need to go read their story. So I'm re-listening to that. So that I'll talk about in August. Next book that I wound up reading for the Time Warp Book Club was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, and I will admit, I like this book. I gave it 4 stars. I thought the world building was so well done. The book plot, though, was like a little bit predictable, and I think it's because I've read so many fantasy books that have this exact premise. It's basically like the Harry Potter premise. Like, a character is like the chosen one, but didn't know that they were the chosen one, and then they have to go on this adventure, and then they have to save the world. So the book was a little bit predictable to me, and I think it was because, like, I've read this story a lot, but I've heard that the books get better. And guys, it's happened again. It's happened. It's really, really sad. I always fall for the wrong ship in these books, without fail. Without fail. I always fall for the wrong ship. Reading this with a bunch of people for my book club, they have repeatedly told me I am falling for the wrong ship. I just can't help it. I really, really can't. It's just a sad state of affairs. I always fall for the wrong ship. But I'm really excited to read Siege and Storm next month with the book club and see if my thoughts change. Maybe I won't like Mal anymore. I don't know. But I really liked it. I thought the world building was really, really fun. The ending was really interesting. And I'm really excited to start Siege and Storm. But this was a really, really good read. 4 stars. I hope the series gets better. And I'll talk to you guys. But I'm not talking to you guys later. I have to finish my wrap up. But I did enjoy it, and I like talking about it with the book club, and I'm excited to move on to book 2. It's probably one of my favorite reads of the month, and it was a really, really random read that I picked up. If you guys go talk about, I read a nonfiction book that like changed my life. It is I Will Always Write Back by Caitlin Adefaraka, Martin Ganna, and Liz Welsh. And this is a nonfiction book. I'm actually in the middle of rereading it because I plowed through this book so freaking fast on Friday, and I had to know what happened to these characters. I am definitely going to be doing like a non-spoiler review about this because this book needs to have everyone read it because it is now my passion project to get everyone to read this. If you are my close friend and you get this book for Christmas, pretend you did not see this in this video because you probably will be getting it for Christmas. But it basically followed these 2 characters, Caitlin and Martin, and like they did in my elementary school, you got to sign a pen pal in like a different country, and Caitlin just chose Zimbabwe randomly. And she ends up getting partnered with this boy named Martin, and they wind up striking up this friendship, and it just changes both their lives for the better. And it was just an awe, and I was so connected to these characters. Like I had to know what happened. It's written in dual point of view, so you get a chapter from Caitlin and then a chapter from Martin. It takes place over 6 years, and I read it, I'm like, this cannot be real. This literally cannot be a real story. This did not really happen to these people, but it totally did. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it shows you what compassion can do, what kindness and what generosity and what you do when you don't get anything out of it. And I just really, really love these characters, well, these people, sorry, they're not characters, they're people. But I don't have enough words to tell you how much I love this book, so I'm just going to leave that here. But this is the last book that I finished reading in the month, and I'm about to start Wicked King. I actually am probably going to wind up finishing this later just because I'm going to read like a section every once in a while just because it's just really, really awe-inspiring. I recommend not to read it in public because you might cry. I was bawling throughout this entire book, and I don't cry very often. But those are all the books that I finished reading so far in the month of July. Booktube-a-thon starts tomorrow. I have a bunch of stuff planned tomorrow. I hope to start Wicked King. But yeah, so that's all the books that I've read in July, and I'm really excited to do Booktube-a-thon. So I hope you guys will be sticking around. Let me know in the comments what was your most exciting book that you read in July, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!